Picture a crowded room, noise, movement, energy bouncing off the walls, everyone trying to prove a point, everyone trying to be heard. And yet, one person doesn't speak, doesn't interrupt. He just sits there, still, quiet, watching. And somehow, he holds more power than anyone else in the room. The calmest person in the room isn't weak. He isn't afraid. He is focused. He is in control, not just of himself, but of how others react to him. Because the truth is, the world fears what it can't predict, and a calm mind. That's the most unpredictable force of all. We live in an age of noise, constant distractions, news, arguments, opinions, all screaming for your attention. You're not just being spoken to. You're being manipulated. They want your reaction, your outrage, your confusion. Because a distracted mind is a controllable mind. But when you don't react, when you just sit still and aware, the game falls apart. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, once said, "The nearer a man comes to a calm mind, the closer he is to strength, not anger, not revenge, not dominance, calmness. That's where true strength is born. A calm mind can't be baited. You insult it, it doesn't flinch. You challenge it, it doesn't need to respond. Why? Because it knows that real power is quiet. Loudness can be a mask. Noise can be a shield for insecurity. But calm is the raw display of confidence. In ancient warfare, the general who panicked first often lost the battle. The one who stayed calm. He could see clearly, think clearly, act with precision. Life is the same. Every day you're in battle, with emotions, with expectations, with chaos. But when your mind is calm, you're no longer a victim of the storm. You become the eye of it. People will try to provoke you, to shake you, to get a reaction, not because they want truth, but because your silence makes them insecure. It reflects what they lack. That's why emotional discipline is more intimidating than physical power. Anyone can yell. Few can remain composed. We've been taught to explain ourselves, to justify every decision, to overspeak, overshare, over-apologize. But what if you stopped? What if you said nothing and just acted? What if your stillness spoke louder than your words? The Stoics believed that inner peace was not the absence of chaos, but the ability to remain calm within it. That's the paradox. You don't gain power by controlling others. You gain it by mastering yourself. Calmness isn't a personality trait. It's a weapon. It's strategy. It's the quiet refusal to let the world dictate your energy. And here's the secret. When you don't need to prove anything, everything you do becomes more powerful. Because you're not performing, you're not defending, you're not convincing, you're simply being. The less you explain, the more people pay attention when you finally speak. The less you react, the more your actions feel deliberate. Calm is clarity. Calm is control. Calm is king. So next time you're pulled into drama, into chaos, into noise, pause, breathe. Ask yourself, am I reacting or am I responding? Because the world doesn't need more noise. It needs presence, precision. And that starts with mastering the storm inside you. The man who can stay calm while everything burns around him is the man who becomes the fire. Every second, a war is being waged, not with weapons, but with notifications, headlines, opinions, and comparison traps. You wake up, and before you even open your eyes fully, your phone lights up, reminding you that the world demands your attention. And so the invasion begins. Scroll, swipe, click, react. Modern society is engineered to keep your mind unsettled. The more distracted you are, the easier you are to control. The noisier the world becomes, the harder it is to hear yourself think. Because stillness is dangerous. It leads to reflection, and reflection leads to awakening. And awakening means you stop playing their game. Every notification you check, every breaking news you absorb, every social post that makes you feel less than, chips away at your calm. But you don't notice, because you've been conditioned to confuse stimulation with connection and anxiety with purpose. The system thrives on your unrest. It sells you products for the peace it stole. It offers validation for the confidence it shattered. It tells you you're not enough unless you buy this, follow that, or become this. And the result? An entire generation wired to fear silence. A culture that fills every quiet second with distraction. Because silence means you're alone with your thoughts. And some people would rather drown than face what's inside. But here's the truth no one tells you. You don't need more noise. You need less. You don't need to become more. You need to remember who you were before the world told you who to be. Carl Jung once wrote, "In all disorder, there is a hidden order." Meaning even in this chaos, if you can quiet your mind, you'll see the pattern. But silence isn't passive. It's a form of resistance. It's a rebellion against being consumed by the machine. When you sit quietly, without reacting, you reclaim power. You say, "I see the storm, but I don't have to get pulled into it." You say, "I hear the noise, but I choose what enters my mind." And the more you choose stillness, the stronger your boundaries become. You stop giving energy to things that don't deserve it. You stop chasing validation that was never yours to need. The world wants you anxious, because anxious minds obey. But calm minds, they pause, they observe, they choose, they lead. Your peace is a threat. Your calm, your refusal to react, is seen as power. Because when you're not ruled by chaos, you start creating your own rules. So next time you feel overwhelmed, ask yourself, is this my stress or one the world handed me? And remember, a restless mind chases everything, but a calm one, it chooses what's worth chasing. Most people think silence means nothing is happening. But to a Stoic, silence is where everything begins. Marcus Aurelius didn't raise his voice to be heard. He quieted his mind to listen. Epictetus didn't argue with fools. He watched them collapse under the weight of their own noise. Seneca didn't try to prove himself. He chose words like, "A warrior chooses his strikes, rarely, precisely, and with purpose." For the Stoics, silence wasn't weakness, it was armor. It was strategy. It was clarity in a chaotic world. Because here's what they knew. The moment you need to explain yourself, you've already handed over control. The more you chase understanding, the more they control your narrative. But when you stay quiet, when you hold the line without overreacting, you become immovable. The world tries to pull you out of yourself. It wants a reaction. It thrives on drama. It feeds on your emotional leaks. But the Stoics learned, when you refuse to leak your power through unnecessary words, you remain sovereign. Silence, in their eyes, wasn't empty. It was full of awareness, discipline, and intention. They practiced what we've forgotten. Pausing before speaking, observing without reacting, responding only when it serves something higher. In a society obsessed with being seen, being silent is revolutionary. Think about it. When was the last time you truly listened without waiting for your turn to speak? When was the last time you chose not to reply? Not out of fear, but because your peace mattered more than proving a point. The Stoics believe the strongest person in the room isn't the loudest. It's the one who can sit in silence and still command presence. Because power isn't in what you say, it's in what you don't say. Aurelius said, the more we value things outside our control, the less control we have. That includes conversations. When you try to control how others perceive you, you become a prisoner of their opinions. But when you let go of needing to be understood, you start understanding yourself. Stoic silence wasn't passive. It was a daily practice, a meditation in restraint. They trained their minds like warriors, removing the noise so the signal could come through. That's what made them unshakable in court, in battle, in betrayal. They didn't need the last word, they were the last word. When someone attacks you with words and you stay grounded, they lose power because they expected chaos and you gave them calm. Silence becomes your mirror. It reflects their intentions, it exposes their games, and it protects your energy from being scattered in 1,000 useless directions. The Stoics built entire philosophies around this principle. Don't speak just to fill the void. Don't explain just to be accepted. Speak when it matters, and when it doesn't, don't. So next time someone demands your explanation, pause, feel the urge to defend, and let it pass. Because some things are more valuable left unsaid, not because you're afraid, but because you've mastered restraint. That's real power. In a world addicted to noise, calmness is no longer just a virtue. It's a weapon. You walk into a room. People talk louder to seem more important. They interrupt to assert dominance. They rush to be heard before they're forgotten. But then, one person stands still, silent, collected, eyes calm, voice measured. They don't push their presence, they pull attention toward them. That's not charisma, that's gravity. Marcus Aurelius mastered it. Nietzsche commanded it. And you can cultivate it. Because calmness isn't luck, it's not genetic, it's a trained form of power. Most people are reactors, they reflect chaos like mirrors. You yell, they yell louder, you get emotional, they escalate, they match your instability. But when you choose stillness in response to chaos, you disarm the entire game. Nietzsche once said, "He who cannot obey himself will be commanded." And that's exactly what calmness is, the ability to command yourself, to resist the pull of emotion, to observe the battlefield before charging in, to see through manipulation without reacting to it. Because when you're calm, you see more. When you're calm, you own the rhythm. And whoever owns the rhythm controls the room. Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." The calm mind doesn't mimic the chaos it encounters, it transforms it. By refusing to engage in the performance, you rewrite the script entirely. Look at leaders who have impact. They're not the loudest in the room. They're the most composed. They speak less, but when they do, people lean in. Why? Because calmness radiates certainty, and in a world starving for clarity, the one who speaks with calm conviction becomes the anchor for everyone else. You don't need to prove you're powerful, you just need to not need to prove anything. That's the paradox. And the calmer you get, the more people project onto you. They'll assume strength, they'll assume mystery, they'll fill the silence with their own insecurities. That's influence, not through volume, but through vibe. But make no mistake, calmness is not passivity. It's not pretending not to care. It's choosing to engage only when it matters. It's keeping your sword sheathed, not because you don't have it, but because you know when to use it. Nietzsche wasn't known for politeness, but he knew the power of pause. He believed true strength is not in the scream, but in the stare. Not in the drama, but in the discipline to stand still while others unravel. That's the kind of presence you build in silence, a presence that doesn't beg for attention, but demands respect through restraint. In a conversation, calmness allows you to choose the silence that speaks louder than rebuttals. In conflict, it turns you into a strategist instead of a reactor. In relationships, it draws people toward you, not because you chase, but because you hold steady. Think about the people you admire most. Are they easily rattled, or are they the ones who make others feel safer just by being near them? You don't become that overnight, but you build it through breath, through discipline, through refusing to dance every time life plays a chaotic tune. Calmness is the rarest flex, and it's silent. So, next time the world pushes your buttons, pause. Notice the invitation to explode and decline it with grace, because in that pause, you'll find your power. You live in a world that constantly wants your attention. Buzzes, alerts, news, deadlines, everything screams, react now. But you're learning the rare art of not reacting, of building stillness in the storm, of becoming the eye in the hurricane. And here's the truth. You don't just wake up one day with a calm mind. You forge it with fire, silence, and conscious practice. So let's break it down. Let's talk about the habits of those who master stillness. Because calmness isn't a trait. It's a discipline. 1. Strategic silence. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. Sometimes the most powerful move is no move at all. Seneca, one of the great Stoics, said, "Silence is a lesson learned through life's many sufferings." When you feel the urge to defend, correct, or explain, pause, observe instead. That pause isn't weakness, it's training. And every second you hold that silence, you're building mental armor. 2. The power of no response. You don't have to answer every message. You don't have to correct every misconception. You don't need to prove your point to people who have already made up their minds. Remember, responding is often just reacting with a delay. But choosing not to respond, that's leadership of the mind. Train your brain to hold space, to witness discomfort without escaping it. You'll realize that your silence says more about your power than 100 well-crafted arguments ever could. 3. Anchor yourself in the present. Most anxiety lives in two places, the past and the future. Regrets of yesterday, what-ifs of tomorrow. But your calmness, it lives here, now in the breath you just took. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present." So practice this. Throughout the day, ask yourself, where am I right now? Bring your attention to your breath, the weight of your body, the feel of the air around you. This isn't fluff. It's neurological training. You're rewiring your brain to stop chasing ghosts and start commanding the moment. 4. Cut the noise. A calm mind isn't just about what you add. It's about what you remove. Audit your digital world. What are you consuming daily that poisons your peace? Angry content, Toxic conversations, comparison traps on social media, start subtracting. Replace scrolling with solitude. Replace endless input with intentional silence, because calmness is not created in chaos, it's carved out of it. 5. Physical stillness builds mental stillness. Move slowly, eat slowly, breathe slowly. Your body is the entry point to your nervous system. When you slow down your body, you're sending a message to your brain. There's no danger, we're in control. This is how Stoics trained under pressure. They didn't fake confidence. They created it from posture, presence, and pacing. 6. Embrace boredom. Yes, boredom, because in boredom, the mind detoxes. Modern minds are overstimulated. We crave input every second. But the most profound thoughts, the ideas that shift your life, often come in silence. In walks, in showers, in spaces without distraction. The mind doesn't need more information. It needs space. 7. Practice. Inner observation. Every time you feel triggered, don't act. Observe. Ask yourself, why did that hit me? What story am I telling myself? Instead of reacting, reflect. Calmness isn't the absence of emotion. It's the awareness of it, without letting it drive the wheel. 8. Speak like you're not in a hurry. Slow speech signals internal power. People who rush to speak often reveal nervousness. But when you speak slowly, you project confidence, and more importantly, you feel it too. Even in conversations, your calm delivery makes others lean in. It forces silence into spaces where noise used to rule. Now think, what if you built a life where your default mode was stillness, where chaos bounced off you like rain on stone? Where people felt different around you, not because you shouted louder, but because your calm demanded attention. That's not a fantasy, that's a practice, and it starts now. You've been silent, you've observed, you've trained your mind like a warrior sharpens his blade. Now what? Now you walk back into the world, but this time you don't enter it like a leaf in the wind. You return like a mountain, solid, still, unshaken, because something's changed. Not the world, but you. You no longer need to prove anything. You no longer need to explain yourself. You don't chase approval. You don't run from rejection. You've found your center, and here's the paradox. The quieter you've become, the louder your presence speaks. People feel it, not because you scream for attention, but because you don't need to. You've made peace with solitude. You've befriended silence, and that changes everything. Presence over performance. Most people try to perform their worth. They broadcast, exaggerate, impress. But you simply exist. You are. There's nothing louder than someone who doesn't need to be loud. That's the stillness of inner power. That's why Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire and still wrote in his journal, "Be like the rock that the waves keep crashing over. It stands unmoved, and the raging of the sea falls still around it." Let that be your image. Let that be your energy. Not reacting to every wave, but anchoring every storm. The weight of your silence. Here's what most people don't understand. Silence doesn't mean weakness. It means control. Silence means you don't throw your energy at what doesn't matter. It means you know how to protect your mental territory. And when you master that, your relationships shift. You speak less. And when you do, people listen. You move slower. And yet people feel your presence more. You don't chase, you attract. And the irony, now that you don't need validation, you get more respect. Because people trust calmness, they trust stillness. It's magnetic, because in a world full of noise, stillness is rare. And what's rare is powerful, returning, but not the same. You're re-entering the world, the same streets, the same people, but you're not the same anymore. Now you walk into chaos and carry peace inside you. You sit in tension and your breath stays steady. You listen to opinions without needing to add yours. You witness drama without being pulled in. This isn't detachment. This is mastery, because you no longer confuse reaction with strength. You've learned that true strength is holding your ground when everything tries to shake you. You've become what the Stoics spoke of, a soul in command of itself. The final question. So now I ask you, are you really as calm as you think? When someone disrespects you, do you still burn inside, or have you learned to observe the fire without letting it consume you? When things don't go your way, do you panic or do you pause? When silence enters the room, do you fill it with noise or do you own it? Because that is the difference between pretending peace and becoming it. Now step into the world again, but this time as the mountain. Not because nothing can shake you, but because you've stopped letting it matter.